Alright, Cherubs. Right now we're looking at the portrait of Paul Revere by John Singleton Copley, painted in 1768. Now that was years before the subject's famous Midnight Ride, back when he was just a silversmith. I know, he looks like Jack Black, but beyond that, the painting seems simple enough. He's holding a teapot and looking thoughtful. It has an interesting composition, with a clear triangle formed by the table and the way the subject's arms are positioned. At the apex of this triangle, we'll find Paul Revere's left eye peering out of the shadow. I've seen that composition before. Okay, don't worry, this isn't a video about Freemasonry or conspiracy theories. So let's get some cultural history for context. During the 18th century, the population of the colonies grew dramatically, from 250,000 in 1700 to over 2 million by 1775. The early colonies of the 17th century had to concern themselves primarily with survival, but the growing colonies of the 18th century could have industry and production of material goods. This, as you could imagine, concerned the Puritan preachers, who held on to the image of a godly, temperate city upon a hill. They preached against the excesses permitted by the wealth generated by the colonies so rich in raw materials. On the other side, a growing population of merchants and British aristocracy held the perception that Puritan self-denial of pleasure was selfish, antisocial, and misguided. So, the colonies had to reconcile their ability to produce nice things with a cultural imperative to validate that behavior in a moral Christian context. Which brings us to this painting of Paul Revere. He sits in his work clothes at his austere workbench with the tools of his trade pointed towards the creation. The silversmith holds a beautiful polished teapot in his left hand, but not in the prideful way of somebody showing off a prized possession. He holds it with the pensive reflection of one who has just engaged in the act of creation. Remember, in a Christian context, God is the ultimate creator, and the all-seeing eye in Christian iconography symbolized God's creative power as the prime architect. The Great Seal of the United States, featured on a dollar bill, also has the all-seeing eye featured atop a triangle, in that case atop a 13-step pyramid. There, in Latin, the inscription reads, Annuit coeptis, literally approves the undertaking. The eye approves the undertaking. The Creator approves the creation. Copley has illustrated for us ethical and Christian vindication for the creation and appreciation of material goods. So, in this way, this portrait serves as a moral justification for owning or even aspiring to own really well-made luxury stuff, like teapots. It also promotes the craftsman and his trade as divinely inspired acts of creation. The light that sparkles from the teapot is divine light. The painting itself is an act of creation made for those wealthy enough to afford such luxuries. It elevates the work of all craftsmen. During the 18th century, as the colonies increased their population and wealth, they shifted from hierarchies based on church attendance and membership to hierarchies based on land ownership, material possession. This transition has complex consequences. Ownership of stuff, like land, necessitates a stewardship of that stuff, a sense of responsibility towards the governance of the land, and the people producing the goods from the raw materials the land provides. In these years leading up to the American Revolution, boycotting British-made goods would benefit craftsmen like Paul Revere, and the production of American-made goods becomes intertwined with the desire for an American-made government. Less than a decade after this painting, Paul Revere would play an important role in forging that government. If you like the way I discuss paintings on this channel, please consider subscribing. If you really like the way I discuss paintings on this channel, please check out my Patreon page in the description below. If you've been following me for a while and noticed a better quality of video here, I owe that to Paul Anderson of Bozeman Science. Even if you don't like the way that I discuss paintings on this channel, thanks for watching.